Hello, everybody. My name is Chadwick Stokes, and my research project examines the Raleigh Tavern and its role in the road to the American Revolution in Williamsburg, Virginia, between 1765 and 1775. My research question asks how the Raleigh Tavern contributed to political mobilization and revolutionary leadership during this critical decade. My argument is that the Raleigh Tavern was more than a social gathering place. It functioned as an important political institution where Virginia's political leaders developed networks, coordinated resistance, and helped transform opposition to British policies into organized revolutionary action. So the first question you have to ask is, why does the Raleigh Tavern matter? To understand this significance, it is important to understand Williamsburg itself. Williamsburg was the political center of colonial Virginia, and the Raleigh Tavern was located near the Capitol building and other important institutions. Taverns provided more than food and lodging back then. They created spaces where legislatures, merchants, and other members of the colonial elite could meet outside of formal government settings. The Raleigh's Apollo Room specifically was particularly useful because it was large enough to accommodate a larger gathering as well as private political discussions. This combination of social interaction and political networking helps explain why the tavern became increasingly important as tensions with Great Britain grew. The first real documented piece of evidence that shows resistance is in 1769. The Raleigh Tavern's political importance becomes especially clear that year. The royal governor at the time dissolved the House of Burgesses after its members challenged a parliament's authority to tax the colonies. Instead of just ending the political discussion, the dissolution moved that discussion into the Raleigh Tavern. So they were basically like, well, we're just going to go here and keep talking about it. The Burgesses gathered in the Apollo Room and developed a non-importation agreement designed to pressure Britain by restricting colonial purchases of British goods. This episode is significant because it demonstrates that political resistance could continue even when royal authorities attempted to shut down formal legislative action. The Raleigh therefore became an alternative political space where colonial leaders could organize resistance. And here's where we get to really the meat of the story here for the Raleigh. The Raleigh's importance became even greater between 1773 and 1774. In March of 73, Thomas Jefferson, Patrick Henry, Richard Henry Lee, Francis Lightfoot Lee, and Deputy Carr met in a private room at the Raleigh to discuss creating a committee of correspondence. This meeting helped Virginia communicate and coordinate with other colonies, and it spread throughout the East Coast. Then, in May of 1774, the royal governor Dunmore dissolved the House of Burgesses, and the four Burgesses once again gathered at the Raleigh, where they adopted an association supporting non-importation and called for a General Congress of the colonies, which would become known as the First Continental Congress. These events demonstrate a progression from protesting individual British policies towards developing coordinated intercolonial resistance. Now, for the historiography and interpretations, my research has also led me to an important historiographical interpretation. Traditional narratives of the Revolution emphasize famous leaders, legislative institutions, and major events such as the Stamp Act or the Boston Tea Party. My research suggests that we also need to examine the informal spaces where political relationships were developed and revolutionary strategies were discussed. The Raleigh Tavern demonstrates how social networks and political organization overlapped. Leaders such as Jefferson, Henry, and other Burgesses did not operate only within the capital. They also relied on informal spaces where they could communicate and coordinate. I therefore interpret the Raleigh Tavern not simply as a location of several important meetings, but as an institution itself that helped facilitate revolutionary mobilization. In conclusion, the Raleigh Tavern played an important role in the political transformation of Virginia between 1765 and 1775. Its importance came not simply from the famous people who visited, but from the political networks and activities that took place there. When royal officials restricted formal political institutions, Revolutionary leaders used the Raleigh as an alternative space for organizing resistance. The events of 1769, 73, and 74 show an increasing movement from opposition to British policies towards outright coordinated revolutionary action. Ultimately, the Raleigh Tavern helps us understand that the American Revolution developed not only in legislatures and battlefields, but also in the informal political spaces where colonial leaders organized, communicated, and built cooperation. Thank you for tuning in.